What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We are currently sitting in the game here on Lackey, waiting for Rob and Jared to get started. But I just figured I'd hop on when you guys were kind of expecting me, and we can kind of talk about what the Grand Prix is looking like so far, what kind of decks we're seeing. Um, Feel free to drop something in the chat. Let me know that you're here, and you can kind of uh, see where things are at in the current Grand Prix meta, I guess. I don't know. I think a lot of it is Widow combo, the Ephesian Widow Life in the Sun deal that if you don't know about it, well, you got some catching up to do. You can go back a couple weeks on my channel and find that video. Um, But yeah, I think that there's still a few decks other than that. We saw last week I played a game with Jay that I was using kind of a little bit of an off the wall deck with trying to do Daniel, which I mean, it's not like that out there, I guess. It's still a pretty good deck. The offense is very strong with the new Michael Chief Prince, but I think at least my build of it didn't quite get us there, get me there against Jay. Jay was using this kind of what I guess people are referring to mostly as like the Jehu deck. It's basically just a very hand control-y type offense that is mostly post-exilic, but there's a few other things that are kind of mixed in with it, namely Jehu and then Jehu's sword, and both of those alongside Eliud and Joshua, just kind of all these guys that can just go in, get a little bit of value, and then come back out, and then you can eventually end up with Nehemiah and Zerubbabel being big and protected or something like that. Especially since Zerubbabel bans to Eliud, then that's a very strong attack because you're just kind of outvaluing your opponent by making them discard stuff and making them really have to think about what cards they can keep and hang on to. So you can go back and watch that video. I guess it was a live stream with Jay. Where you can see me kind of struggling a little bit to figure out what defense to hang on to, and how Jay just kind of got a really huge card advantage because my deck was just kind of slow in general, but also just the speed of his deck was very very fast. It looks a little bit like post-exilic decks that I had been running before rotation, but now just kind of adjusted for rotation and really focused on that consistent value or kind of hand control aspect rather than just like a big impartial judgment play. So I think that's definitely what we're one of the bigger decks in the meta, I guess, or what we're expecting to see. I've also got Disciples, which if you're already caught up with today's video that I released, then that is what I played there. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see Rob run tonight, because I know that he's been working on a Disciples build. I really don't know what Jared is running. Might be running combo. He did pretty well last week against Emmanuel, I believe, so he played, and he did pretty well the week before. I can't remember who he played in round one, but Jared has definitely been making a name of himself in some of the recent online tournaments, and same thing with Rob. I feel like they're both kind of on similar levels as far as like they're really getting into the rhythm of knowing their decks and more of the meta, and being kind of in these positions where they're currently at the top of the tournament after two rounds, which means that they've both won both of their games and done so with sizable soul differentials. Of course, we still have 2 more rounds left after this, but so there, a lot can still happen, I guess. I know I'm kind of out of it, so to speak, as far as being in the top 4 after losing to Jay, and then oops, maybe I spoiled it a little bit if you aren't caught up, but the video was released like 4 hours ago, so if you haven't watched it yet, it's less than 4 hours long. So come on, what are you doing? But yeah, the game with Joe didn't quite go as expected either. But it looks like there's only one person watching right now, and other people will probably not watch this until after watching the first video, so we're probably okay. Let's see, what else have we been seeing lately? I guess we can talk about Joe's deck. He played a Genesis Patriarchs, Papa Abe focused deck. He really was going all in with Father Abraham, Jacob, Isaac, and Judah, kind of getting all of those big name LOC guys, Genesis LOC guys in there, and then of course getting those counter heroes down that kind of differentiated his deck from what you kind of normally see from just a straight up Genesis deck. He was using Jonah, and of course Enosh is a Genesis hero, he fits in there, but he's also running Melchizedek, who is Genesis, but the Prophecies of Christ version is not blue, so it doesn't necessarily fit incredibly well. He's not a very good attacker, and could be kind of liable, especially with the new choose the blocker evil characters and Simon the Host and Gatekeeper's Maid. Is it Gatekeeper's Maid? I think so, yeah. I was just thinking of like High Priest's Maid, which is the old one, but I guess I've got Lackey open right here. I can just go ahead and look, and hey look, it's my Disciples deck. Yeah, so the Gatekeeper Maid. So these different choose the blocker or to choose the rescuer things. Captain of the Chariots is also probably not around quite as much, but defense is still pretty decent, and the kind of often unused part of his ability to choose a good kingdom block is another thing that could punish you for running Melchizedek, especially in off brigades. But yeah, I think that it's definitely still a strong card. People are using a lot of evil searches, with the Deceiver, with Wages of Sin. Those 2 cards have been popular since they came out in ROJ and Fall of Man, respectively. So yeah, I think that's still a good card, especially if you're not running like Sheol and kind of other Lost Soul manipulation stuff. It kind of gives you an edge over people who are running that stuff, or kind of gives you the not necessarily an edge, but kind of the same, puts you on level playing field, I guess. Hey, there's Joe talking about yeah, there was some emotional damage going on there that I'm just kind of venting about our game right now. And I was really talking about how good your deck is. So I mean, at least how good it is in having kind of all those counter heroes and being able to set them up right away with numerous as the stars. A good way to get that set up is to have Jacob, and ways to get to Jacob to make sure that you can get to numerous, and then have all those star cards so that before passing the turn, maybe you don't get everybody down in your prep phase like Joe did, but you can still do it in your discard phase and get some good value there, and just before your opponent gets a turn or kind of has a chance to set up a lot of their stuff, you can do some damage there. So let's see if, I guess while we're still waiting for them here, see if Rob wants to hop on a call and do a little like pregame interview, type here. Pre-gram, pre-game. Rob said it should be soon here. All right. Hey, there he is. Oh, can't hear you if you're talking yet. Maybe if it's not working, you can try leaving and rejoining. Sounds like you can hear me at least.
How about now?
Hey, there you are.
Hey, Jaden.
Welcome into the live stream. You
Oh,
you excited? You ready?
oh yeah, I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
So do you have any idea what you're going up against here? Anybody kind of spoil what Jared's playing, or you just kind of going in
No,
the dark?
no, nobody said anything, and I try not to ask around too much, just to keeps me on my toes a little bit more. But
Oh yeah.
I'm going to assume just based off his lost soul differentials and the games I've seen, I would guess it's probably combo, but
That's kind of what I was speculating a little bit before you hopped on here. Um, so did you kind of adjust your deck in any way to uh, kind of hopefully
yeah,
combat that a little bit? Um,
yeah. Hopefully to combat it a little bit. A couple more speed cards added in, and with the new way that it's played, with the dual alignments kind of staying in. Um, just some stuff to get, like, maybe I'm running Crowd's Choice, so I can grab an evil character from reserve if I need to.
there you go.
Uh, so, and my deck that I'm running is the Speed Disciples that I've kind of put together with Luke Marshall, and I know you and Tyler have also put in some input on it, and
Yeah.
I could deck out turn one if I need to, because I am running the Life in the Sun and Widow, but I'm not running Church of Christ and Sowing Bountifully.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah. So you're just kind of on the uh, side of, like, deck out and, well, I mean, draw kind of whatever you need to in order to set up your counters and just kind of set up
right,
for the game. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's basically just as viable as doing the sowing bountifully thing, especially with the hit with the dual alignment stuff, like you mentioned. That it's even if just setting up your counters right away on turn one is really going to dictate how the game is gonna unfold, and normally in your favor, I guess.
oh for sure, yeah. And then worst case scenario, I've got multiple ways to get to Matthew, and he's
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of the problem with my game with Joe, is that Matthew was the last disciple I found, and I had to search for him. It was like on turn two, I had all four of the other guys, but no Matthew, and yeah, that definitely hurt me a little bit there, not having him as kind of my draw engine. Um,
It's funny, I actually just finished watching that before I ate dinner.
Very nice.
Yeah.
It's good. You're one of the more devoted folks. I spoiled the game with Joe, for anyone who hadn't watched it already. So you're you have free reign to talk about that game. Tell me what all I did wrong with the disciples.
I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he opened amazing. That first turn was
Hmm.
pretty brutal. I mean, he had some counters set up too. I mean, Golden Calf, Enos, Jonah. I mean, that was
Yeah, that was yeah, it was kind of tough to work around, and I think I got a little bit lucky getting both my three woes and my chronicles to start to look like I was doing something, but
right.
yeah, not wasn't quite enough.
You did good for the hands you had. When I was watching, like, man, he's doing better than I probably could have, because that was kind of rough there.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I mean, like, what I when I'm editing the videos, I'm kind of watching them back basically, which is kind of nice, because it's kind of like watching the tape, see where I messed up a little bit, and I did notice a couple of times where I think I could have played differently, and that what might have helped me out, like going for false prophet instead of condemned thief, just to get the numbers. Kind of
Right.
assuming that Joe, didn't have a whole lot to interact with the battle as much, but Judah was just kind of, you know, doing me in with the that protection and his big
Right.
numbers. So
Well, I
uh,
think in our game, that's what kind of hurt him is basically I told you how my deck's designed to function. I kind of had everything out before he could hit numerous of the stars,
hmm.
and he was kind of pinned down a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you played Joe the last round, was it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, very nice. Yeah. Yep, yeah, I think it's there is definitely that coin flip aspect to the meta right now, where it's if you get to go first and set up your counters, and I mean, I guess really wasn't playing that many counters outside of like Thomas and Judas
Mhm.
in my deck, maybe the cross if you count that, um, but
I would consider that a card. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, like setting those up quickly, if you can do that on turn one, before your opponent has a chance to do something, then I think that's going to uh, significantly impact the game, or dictate the way that the game is going to go in most cases, kind of especially at kind of the highest competitive level right
Oh yeah.
now. Um, yeah, I was kind of hoping for kind of a nice casual fun game with Joe, and then he just goes and drops numerous to grab four annoying heroes, and
Yeah, I know.
no,
Well,
it's
then when he came to Genesis cards, he's like, I'm gonna reveal one, two, three, four. I was like, oh, here we go. He's gonna get every Genesis card out of his deck.
mm-hmm. And then he pulls out Jonah and Melchizedek and Mary, and it's like,
Yeah. I
uh,
was like, so that's how you beat Jaden. You get all the counters out on turn one before he gets to go.
that's how you do it. And I didn't even really have a particularly good hand for even if I did go first. I mean, I had like I think the Lord's Prayer to kind of help me get set up a little bit. I didn't have a Lost Soul, which was good for me, and then bad when I decided to block and draw into a few. But um,
Right.
I think that yeah, even then I didn't have. I don't think I had a way to get to Matthew. Well, I suppose I play if I play Lord's Prayer to grab Spirit as a Dove, and that grabs Matthew off of Thomas. I'm pretty sure he was in my. Oh, actually no, he was on my draw three. So um, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have gotten there or not, but
Yeah.
um,
It's definitely tough. I've found. I mean, he's not on here yet. I hope he's not watching anything, but I found a couple angels splashed in with like reassuring angels and angel from the sun
mm-hmm,
just to go in to get Matthew as well. So you have the tutor cards to get him, and then you can rescue with those to go right into Matthew.
right, yep. Yeah, you get the angels. You've got Patmos. Spirit as a dove. I guess if you, uh, certainly a good option there. Um, yeah, I think that there are a lot of ways to consistently get Matthew early, which is definitely going to help in a deck where he's kind of the main draw engine, just because he draws so many cards.
Oh yeah.
um, but I think it's also going to adjust how people build their decks too. I mean, like in combination with the reserve rule, I feel like lurking is going to see less play in the main deck, more play in the reserve, if at all. Um,
Oh
Noah is kind of a liability, reverence and awe. These are cards
yep.
that people are playing a lot, and usually they come out early. Like you don't really have to worry about Noah and reverence and awe versus like damsel or outsiders, because they're blockers, and so you're gonna get those out of your hand usually before you're attacking, and faith as well. But with Matthew, if I go first and you have one of those in your hand, and I get to Matthew, then I'm gonna get to draw a whole bunch of cards.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was Joe or if it was LOJ Games in round one, but one of them I hit when I went with Matthew, they had lurking in their hand.
Mm.
That's 7 right there. So
Yep. Yeah, I searched for Matthew in my game against Joe, and he was like, "Well, I know what I'm gonna have to do next turn," and he proceeds
oh, maybe
to
it was Jeff. That's
put
why
down
he brought.
Noah and Foreign Wives and discarded his lurking at the end of turn. Um,
Yeah, maybe it was Joe because he probably remembered me doing that to him.
mm, yeah. And Joe just said, funny enough, numerous can grab Matt, so maybe Joe's gonna have Matthew in his deck next week. So whoever's
Yeah,
Joe's opponent next week, be ready. Just
he's
have mono brigade offense, mono brigade defense, no exceptions.
yeah. He's already running Mary, so you can convert him to me, get the draw, and then he's protected.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
So he said he was finishing up dinner, and then he was hopping on.
Very good. It's all right. It gives us some time to hang out and chat here.
Oh, I didn't know what enhancement you should when you did that block with Judas. I didn't know what enhancement to take because there was 4 of them. Where you were right. You were kind of like pinned down there, like
yeah,
yeah,
I
behind everyone.
should make like a poll or something, or like put a ask in the Discord what would you do in this situation? Um, 'Cause yeah, I mean, the lurking was tempting because I could ban to my Coliseum line in reserve and get numbers, but then he could just play Behemoth to negate it, and then if he does that, then there's an enhancement in battle, so then I can play something that hits Joseph, but then would that be or not Joseph, Judah, but then would that be negated? And yeah, it was. Or would he just play for sacrifice to underdeck Coliseum Lion and then not worry about my
Yeah.
negating the lurking, and then I guess hmm so Behemoth says negate an opponent's card, so if I had taken his lurking, then I wouldn't be able to negate it.
Wow. So it doesn't say negate an evil card. This is an opponent's.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. Because yeah, Behemoth. I mean, the evil character side is supposed to kind of work in the same way. It says negate an opponent's card,
Yeah.
so that you can block with it and negate something or play it as an enhancement to negate. Um, but he still would have had first sacrifice to underdeck something in battle or from my hand, and if he had underdecked, um, the Dissension in Antioch, he might have still had the numbers, but yeah, not
Right.
sure. So definitely
Dissent-
a tough situation there, even with kind of perfect knowledge of what all he had available and what all I had available.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a good game though.
Yeah, it was good, all things considered. I at least got my Son of God to make it look like I put up a fight. I think that had I had like 1 or 2 turns where my soul drought had worked, or like if I didn't have to give up that lost soul in the first one against um, you know Pape with Solomon's Dream and Angel of the Lord with my Nebuchadnezzar, then that certainly would have helped me out later. I realized that the second turn I should have blocked with Deceiver to False Prophet. Joe might have had Faith of Noah in his hand at that point. He said he didn't remember if he had it that turn or the next. But and that would have hurt me quite a bit if he did pull that off.
Right.
But otherwise, I think False Prophet would have been a block there, so would have made it a stalemate. I guess I would have had to do Judas to Deceiver to False Prophet to make it a stalemate against big 12-11 Judah, but yeah, I was hoping that I could maybe get the cross active or banish the Son of God with Reverence and Awe, and then kind of stabilize from there. that was kind of my last hope. But um,
Yeah. When I saw you draw the soul with Reverence All, I was like, oh man.
yeah, yeah. No, Joe was saying he still had Scapegoat. Um, I think that was, or you wouldn't have been able to play Scapegoat if I had still hit Jacob with a jealousy like I did.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I suppose maybe you negate that with Behemoth, and then you can negate uh, something else with Scapegoat. But
Right.
um, but yeah, I think Joe was saying that he's, as much as he and I have played, he had earned an I beat Jaden on camera shirt at some point.
Well, I don't know how much you talked about like the Lackey Grand Prix and all, but right before I was hopped on here, John Early wins over Luke M.
That's true. Yeah, that was kind of the big development. He was, I think, a little unsure of that game because Luke's kind of been on a little hot streak lately. But that was a big game. Kind of wish I could have live streamed that one too. Of course, a lot of these are big games at this point. We got
Right.
a lot of good players in the Grand Prix here. Let's see. What else do we have in round three?
You
John
got a
Hendricks beat Renee 5-0. So he must have. I think he comboed against Renee because he kind of put in the Discord after that, like, yep, okay, I can now speak from personal experience that this combo is, uh, results in a negative player experience or play experience. Um, but yeah, I think that now, yeah, those are the only three games that have been reported so far. Mine, John Hendricks, and John Early. Um, I should say Joe's. He's the one who won. So
what's the other big one? That's Jay and JD.
yeah, so we've got Jay and JD in. Um, let's see. Oh, that's right. I already sorted it out here. So yeah, Jay and JD are kind of the next up here. And then it was John Early and Luke. And Jeremy and Emmanuel. That should be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I think even the game with Brad and Red Wing, Jacob, it should be a pretty good one. Um,
Yeah, I think my brother said he was playing tomorrow.
okay, yeah, who's playing LOJ games this week? Actually,
Yeah.
hopefully he's can take some notes from you, and not specific notes, obviously. That wouldn't be very fair, but
I think he was a little bit irate. That was his first experience with the combo last week. I told him how bad it was, and
mm,
when he actually faced it, he was like, "This is just crazy."
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it kind of takes that personal experience with it. It's like, okay, so this is how it goes. Like just hearing it is one thing, but yeah, it's really something.
And it's all you, Jaden.
My version of it wasn't even all that crazy compared to what some of the guys have been doing with it. The 5-0s and the 5-1s that have been going on. Obviously I was playing it against Josh, who's probably arguably one of the uh, best players as far as, just kind of in general, but also as far as like, okay, this combo just went off. Like, how do I have to adjust kind of mid game? With something that wasn't even expecting, and to still come pretty close to winning that game. He was, I think, um, within a few different plays, of winning that game. So
Right. I think that was before Marcus came out and said that the dual alignment stay. And
right, yeah, yeah. I do wonder how many dual alignment cards that were discarded in that game. It's just kind of strange wording of it, just because it top decks the good ones first. So it's not that the dual alignment cards are not evil cards. If it didn't have the line return good cards to top of deck, then evil or all dual alignment cards would be hit with Sowing Bountifully.
right,
Um, but
the fact that they can be targeted as both good and evil, it kind of makes it go back.
yeah, which means so if you put down Joshua and he's not negated or anything before they play Sowing Bountifully, then you'll get to draw all the good cards that they top deck. So
You just had to find a way to get Joshua in there, didn't you?
I think I want to say that was something that Chad mentioned to me before. It was either like while we were talking about the Widow combo, because he's one of the first people that I told about it before the video came out, and um, then we were kind of talking about. I don't know if he brought it up then or if it was just at some point we were talking about sewing before that, because it was still um, a lot going on with sewing even before the combo. That he mentioned that as like one potential drawback is if they put down Joshua, then they get to hand limit with good cards pretty much. So
Right.
um,
Then yeah, it looks like Gospel of Christ is at least phase one's gonna be known as the hand limit set with Herod's Temple.
yep,
Like,
yep, yeah. We got all these little draw combos. The first I guess isn't Gospel of Christ, but it was kind of released at the same time with I and J Plus.
right.
Yeah, you remember that one, the first, the one that the combos with
Yeah,
Harvest Time and High Places.
yeah. I think I played somebody with that. And I'm not remembering 100%.
Yeah, it's easy to forget those kind of things.
I was just glad. I was like, you know what? I'm playing Son of God. Even if I go down, it's not gonna be 5-0.
That was kind of my thinking against Joe, except I had one and I had Second Coming, but I was like, basically I was thinking, okay, I could just go for it here. I could play Spirit as a Dove to search for Reverence and Awe, and maybe Joe wouldn't think twice about playing Second Coming after that to get a Son of God back. But I just kind of assumed that, like, if I do this, Joe is going to uh, he's going to recognize that, and he'll play his Second Coming, and then I'll be left with 5-2 instead of 5-3.
Right.
And so I decided to go for the Son of God, and maybe that was kind of my only hope at that point, is that Joe wouldn't notice that. But Joe's not really the guy that not one of those guys. Not that there are very many of them that I'm gonna be like, oh well, he probably won't notice, so I'll just play this way instead of that way. But yeah, if I was just waiting for me to draw Reverence and Awe at the right time, and just drop it without him seeing it coming. And,
Right.
yeah, it didn't quite work out. That still got me a 3 though. I was like, all right, it's a respectable number. So what else have you tried out other than Disciples, and what you're running today? From like GOC
A little bit,
specifically,
but
or kind of the new stuff.
New Testament Gold a little bit, but I kind of, didn't mess with them as much, and I'm gonna say it, and I know it's the dreaded P word, but I kind of have been messing with post exilic.
Posties.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, there's
What's that?
Jared popped on for a second and popped off. He just messaged me, wanted to know if we were still here. I said no, we
Oh.
left.
We're just chilling.
Me and Jada started a whole different thing. We're done with you. No.
Yeah, I'm filling in for Jared. I'm using the iDeck. Uh,
All right, so he's actually calm. It looks like he'll be hopping on here. So we'll.
all right. Well, thanks for not just letting me blabber on by myself here.
No problem, Jaden.
All right.
All right.
See you. All right. Looks like we're about to be underway here. Might be giving you too much credit, Joe. Well, I mean, maybe, but I wasn't gonna take the chance. I had faith in you at least. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of a maybe I could have played it off as like, oh, I should get my Church of Christ going or my I don't know what other my storehouse out and get reverence and awe and not really hint at all at the banishing discard part, but I thought that even if I did do that, that might not save me necessarily. I might still kind of be in trouble. I don't know. Maybe it would have bought me a turn or two. Maybe I could have stabilized. Who knows? But 'tis what it is. I'm excited for this game. It's gonna be a good one. And I'm excited to be able to actually, watch some of the. Oh, okay. I guess this game, where Jared's unable to join for some reason, so they're gonna start a new one. I'm excited to be able to feature some of the other decks being played in the Grand Prix here, because it's not always obvious what everybody's playing. Not everybody necessarily shares, and I think that this kind of thing is helpful for the community, especially those not playing in the Grand Prix and don't get quite as much exposure to what the meta is or what a lot of the players are playing. So, and definitely a huge shout out to Jay for operating and managing the Grand Prix here. Giving us all this exposure to, or I guess opportunity, kind of motivation, I guess, to get these online games in and get a little bit of a feel for the meta here. So, all right, they have both loaded a deck, and I think we're about to be underway here. Looks like they're both playing 51. No Hammond's plot though, so just 51 because the difference is negligible and it's always hard to cut that one last card. So. So it looks like we've got Rob putting his stuff down in the bottom left corner here. He's got a Covet and a Distressed, and Jared out here with a handful of Lost Souls. He's got Open Hand, Imitate, Lawless, and Undesirables, which that's going to be interesting to see how this works, because I mean this is something that I was trying to do with running New Testament Lost Souls against Joe, was get that undesirables, imitate stuff going on, but fortunately it did not quite work out for me as far as getting out undesirables early and imitate to copy it, because the limit does apply distinctly to each of the Lost Souls. Looks like Jared won the die roll, so he will be choosing who goes first. I have a feeling he's going to choose himself to go first, especially if he is playing combo. But even if he's not, that seems like a pretty reasonable assumption, especially based on the Lost Souls he's got. If he's going to be able to use Lawless to, look at his top 6, get an evil card. He can maybe imitate his Lawless if he needs to. He could, but also just imitating undesirables. Has the opportunity to really put him ahead in the game, especially if Rob doesn't have a way to negate them as he's rescuing. There are a few disciples that negate lost souls. You've got Simon, I believe, negates lost souls. I think there's one other, maybe. Somebody in the chat can figure that out, see if there's any other disciples that negate lost souls that Rob might be running here. But otherwise, if he doesn't have his Son of God and Second Coming set up here, then that's going to make things challenging. Here, I should probably reset the countdown timer. It's probably not going to be super accurate of what they're using, because they started a couple minutes ago now, but we'll at least have a general idea. So it looks like Jared is planning to go first here. He's activating his lost souls first, so he's doing open hand to check out Rob's hand. Unfortunately, as a spectator, I don't have the capacity to see their hands, which is pretty normal, I guess, for or like it's to be expected for Lackey, because if I am spectating the game, look at Rob's hand, and then quick DM Jared that he's got Son of God, I can play your Vain Philosophy, or whatever, then that's obviously not going to be very cool. But I suppose the other way I could do it is if in the future, I guess I'm not going to try to figure out right now, but if you just add a seat, add me as a third player in the game, and then I can always make the zones visible to me whenever I want to. Want to see what's going on, but I'm not sure what other implications that would have as far as the turns and whatnot. I don't think we even get to see what's revealed to, we don't get to see what's revealed with Lawless here either, but we'll be able to see what gets taken. Ooh, a Doll Lost Soul comes out, that could be pretty good, especially if you had chosen to go second, but I mean, it's good to at least get it out of his deck, so that Rob's options for Covet here are going to be pretty limited. He's only going to have two options. Maybe a Forsaken, it's another good New Testament Lost Soul that is kind of in this build. Let's see what other New Testament Lost Souls are out there. Humble and Awake are definitely two other decent options. But Awake isn't going to do Rob a whole lot of good here, so maybe a Humble. So Jared takes the Wages of Sin with Lawless. Pretty good, especially if you're going first, to get things set up, like maybe a Sheol, or just get a Christian Martyr or something, or Chronicles, even if you want to help set up your rescue, if you need the extra backup there. Rob's going in with the Covet, giving it to Jared's territory to take a Lost Soul from his deck. Let's see which one he comes out with here. And I think this right here, the ability on Covet it's very good for generating a Lost Soul, but it's almost just as good for seeing what your opponent is playing. If you get it on the first turn of the game, they're kind of in the opening 8, just kind of have an idea of what you're going up against here. Looks like Rob does take out a Humble, so that's going to be a pretty good one. It's not quite as good as some of the other options like Dull or Undesirables would be. Well, I guess that wouldn't really help out Rob too much with the OT Lost Soul in his territory and the OT Unity that he's presumably running with Covet, but he could take Imitate to imitate the ability on Undesirables, and not he would be able to kind of forego the Unity part. Unity is not part of the special ability as far as I'm aware. Okay, so Harvest is the other Lost Soul that Jared is running here. He decides to imitate his Lawless, so he's really just getting that value out there. He gets to make a Lost Soul token in Rob's Land of Bondage. Looks like he might not be running the tokens, at least not in his tokens zone. So they're probably trying to figure that out now, but he's taking Shipwreck from Lawless there, and now going to his prep phase. Looks like he's already got a Sheol, so he's going to be able to put some of these Lost Souls back into his deck. Maybe Harvest is a good one to recycle back. He's got a Sheol and a Gates of Hell right off the bat. That's going to put him in a good position as far as blocking goes, as long as he's got enough evil characters to make use of them. Two really good at-to-battle abilities that sometimes don't work together all that well, because Gates of Hell adds demons and Sheol only adds humans, but as long as you have kind of enough overlap in brigades with cards like Damsel and now Judas, there are definitely some human orange options. You've got pagan sailors and that kind of stuff, so that you can still meet the unity on Sheol and be able to utilize Gates of Hell. So certainly will be interesting. Wonder what tokens Rob has in here. He says he's got 10 tokens in his tokens zone. It looks like Jared is going with a Disciples theme of his own, playing a Meek Thomas, so Thomas the Assured. Perhaps he has a Spirit as a Dove that he's about to drop down here. Oh, actually it looks like he's going right into his battle phase, so he's attacking with Thomas as Meek, which makes sense. I feel like if he was just putting him down, he would probably want him on the ability side. Looks like Rob is blocking with Lying Prophet, so he's going to get to take a look at Jared's hand and see how many brigades he's got in there. Good brigades, I guess. And be able to draw that many cards. Let's see, Thomas is a 3-5 and Lying Prophet is a 4-5, so it's going to be stalemate here, which means it's Jared's initiative. If he has an interrupt or a negate, a way to take away the draw from Rob, that's going to be pretty good. Ooh, but Rob only draws 2 cards, so he doesn't have too many good brigades. I guess Disciples don't run a whole lot of good brigades, pretty much just clay and purple. So that seems pretty reasonable there. Ooh, alright, Jared just doesn't waste any time here, plays Authority of Christ and takes out Lying Prophet, cannot be negated, and those are the 2 brigades, so for all we know that could be the only good card that Jared has left in his hand, but he gets through with for the rescue for the Lost Soul. So Rob did get some good card advantage there, getting a nice little draw off of his block, but now he'll get to draw at the start of his turn. But the Jared getting the Lost Soul advantage or right away, kind of the first opportunity to rescue, is always very good. So Jared puts down an Emperor Claudius and ends his turn, knowing that what we know about what Rob is playing. Claudius could present a few issues for him, but there's enough negating and interrupting that Disciples do that should be able to find an answer for him. But especially with Phase 1 coming out now, Emperor Claudius is definitely going to see a little bit more play, I think, between people playing New Testament themes and also Denarius being a good Roman Emperor synergy. So Rob draws Prosperity Lost Soul, discards a Malachite Slave, and draws 2, so he's now sitting at 13 cards in hand. So it would be very difficult to believe that he doesn't have a way to combo, draw his deck, or at least get to it from here. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what he does with that. Doesn't really have to worry about Sheol too much as far as what the Lost Souls going down, but it looks like it's activating Denarius to do a little bit of searching, taking Nero from his deck, and then Jared triggers his Sheol. That was actually kind of interesting. He put the little XP counter on Sheol to kind of denote the trigger that's waiting to happen. I think that's a smart idea if you're if your opponent's kind of carrying out these other abilities, like multiple abilities of heroes coming into battle, and then that has or let's say they trigger Sheol. They do like 4 searches as they're abandoning their heroes into battle. Then you can put 4 counters onto Sheol to indicate, okay, this is how many times it's been triggered, and it'll help remind you to do it at the end of all that. Because sometimes it can be can be thinking like, oh, okay, he searched with that guy, and now I have to remember to trigger that, but it doesn't happen until the rest of the abilities are resolved. So that can be, it's a smart thing to do. A little tip there from Jared. So it looks like Rob's putting down both Sheol and Babel. Very good counter cards, especially with just the 2 lost souls now. Sheol is going to do some work for Rob, and Babel probably not going to do a whole lot against Jared's deck. It might negate like his Simon, who is a 2/3, but not a whole lot other than that, I don't think. And so he puts on Thomas, then he plays Falling Away to convert Jared's Thomas to probably some other brigade that Jared doesn't likely have, and that means that Rob's probably got a Simon Zealot. Is it Simon the Zealous? I think. Yeah, he's probably going to be coming out here, which is exactly what he needs to negate undesirables. Make sure that's not going to hinder him too much here. So Rob plays the Lord's Prayer. I wonder if he just needs to go search for. Okay, yep. Doesn't need to grab Spirit as a Dove to grab Simon. He's going to search for Life in the Sun. He might have Widow already and just is going to draw and set up his territory and everything. Let's see what. Yeah, okay, so it looks like Pale Green is the brigade on Thomas here. Seems pretty good. The problem with Simon with the choose a blocker thing is that Simon's numbers are very low, so you still are going to have to play something, which means that you're using a battle winner and a dominant to make the rescue. But I think it's still usually worth it. I mean, it's a very hard to stop rescue. So Jared could trigger his Sheol here. I guess I can't see what's in his discard pile. So I guess maybe he can't trigger his Sheol. It should be Authority of Christ. So yeah, I guess he doesn't have anything to banish with Sheol. If he has a demon, he can add it to battle. So we're likely going to see like Terrifying Beast, maybe a few other demons, but in order to justify Sheol, it has to be pretty close to Brigade Unity, I think. So, yep, he plays Life in the Sun to bounce Thomas. Seems like a pretty good value play. I guess I don't know if he really needed to bounce Thomas there, because just the numbers. I guess he would have been Life in the Sun is a 3/4, so it would have only been a 5/7, which, yeah, Thomas was a 3/5, so he would have still won the numbers by the battle there, or won the battle by the numbers there. So I think maybe he could have gotten away with not bouncing Thomas, maybe bouncing Emperor Claudius instead, so that Sheol's Unity would be turned off. I think that may have been smarter, but I mean, he can't use Sheol to add to battle at this point anyway. So Jared hands over undesirables, but I think he might have been thinking that Simon wasn't negating lost souls. I wonder if Rob caught that or not. So I guess we'll find out next turn when whether or not Rob is going to attack. Rob's dropping Crowd's Choice, probably to go grab Ephesian Widow. And I think Rob maybe should have done this before he attacked, because he probably would have gotten an artifact that he could have used to, or I mean he would have had the opportunity to activate an artifact. That's what I'm trying to say. But and now with that search, well, I guess, yeah, now with that search, Jared will be able to activate Shield. I guess that's really the last search that Jared will need to do, or that Rob will need to do, I guess, if he just wants to, combo back and forth and just draw his deck with Widow. And Jared did already play Authority of Christ, which actually would have helped him out quite a bit if Rob is going to just draw a whole bunch of cards here and have to put down his defense. So, yep, Ephesian Widow comes down. Rob searches for Life in the Sun, and see if he, I assume he's going to be playing it here, but not positive on that yet. Yeah, I guess, yeah, each trigger of Ephesian Widow, searching discard pile, means that Life in the Sun or Sheol will be triggered. So yeah, I do think I don't know, the assumption there maybe should have been that Jared didn't have anything to play on Thomas and could have used Life in the Sun to bounce Claudius and win by the numbers. He did look at his hand, so maybe there was something that he could play if he just got regular initiative and not just special initiative. But then he probably wouldn't have picked pale green, so I don't know. Definitely some consideration there to be made. It would be really nice if we could see their hands, what they've got going on, but I'll have to try to figure that out for next time, maybe. So Rob plays Redeeming Branch. Look at the top 6. Take a hero or a star card. He takes them both. He takes Noah, which is both. Does Widow Life in the Sun again. Sheol's probably going to be coming down again. Akeem came down to negate opponent's neutral cards. And Jared keeps on hiding his lost souls here. Wisely, of course. Why wouldn't you? I do think that Rob probably has a plan, I guess, for Sheol. A way to either generate some lost souls or bring them back, because otherwise, I mean, Jared could just kind of intentionally not shuffle his deck, and he will have pretty much every single one of his lost souls on the bottom of his deck. Because he had so many initially, and he just keeps on underdecking them with Sheol. So unless Rob can kind of figure out a way to force Jared to shuffle, which could just be Noah the Righteous to shuffle something you can target except a human, so artifact, fortress, or anything. Both of these fortresses are in set aside area. So those aren't legal targets, and of course Claudius is a human, but something like that to mix up the lost souls, get them out of Jared's deck. Let's see. So Noah comes down and he plays Faith of Isaac, which is just look at the top 6 and take one top deck and or underdeck the rest. Looks like Rob probably found Son of God with that, and now is playing it on Doll. Looks like he got Second Coming as well, but a little too late for that. Now no lost souls are available. I don't think Rob was running Harvest Time. he could be. Um, but yeah, not that I know of, at least. Um, I guess it just wouldn't make as much sense since he's not running the first in high places, and he's running a number of other dominants like Crowd's Choice. It's a hard one to justify if you have Harvest Time and the other kind of splashy dominants, or the kind of the non-staples, I guess. Um, so we kind of just get to see here, or sit here and watch Rob draw some cards out. He draws a Darkness, which doesn't do him a whole lot here. Draws Covet again, which is going to shuffle Jared's deck. So that's definitely an unfortunate one for Jared. But I guess if he can just keep on, so Jared can just keep on underdecking Covet, and then eventually Rob will just keep on getting the Lost Souls out of Jared's deck. So he's actually got to be kind of careful here, because I think there are only three. There are only 4 Lost Souls left in Jared's deck, because one of them is was Humble, which Jared already rescued, and then 2 of them are in Rob's Line of Redemption here. But he takes Harvest, which is going to backfire on Jared a little bit. So now Jared's going to have to decide if he wants to make or if he wants to underdeck the token or underdeck Covet. I would probably prioritize underdecking Covet in this situation, actually, because I think that the token will probably get to underdeck sooner, I guess. So he does get to he doesn't really want to force Jared to rescue Covet, because he kind of wants Covet to be out. Well, actually, okay, so he could have underdecked the token, and then Rob would have had to wait to play Son of God on Covet, because if he targets Covet with the negate, then he won't be able to target it for the rescue, because it would be back in Jared's deck. So, oh, okay, so actually the token did go to okay, so Jared did underdeck the token, got rid of it, and then gave Covet to Rob, which technically should not have happened, because since it's still in the same phase, then Covet would be negated. It would go back to Rob's territory. Harvest would go back to Jared's deck, and would not be able to rescue it. But it's not really my place to step in, I guess. At this point, it's just kind of a spectator. So since neither of them caught it, that's kind of on them. Hopefully they can watch this afterwards and learn from that. Rob's just putting everything down here. So he still did take, so now Harvest, Prosperity, and then 2 other of Rob's Lost Souls are all out of Jared's, or 2 other of Jared's Lost Souls are out of his deck, which means he's only got 3 Lost Souls left in there, so drawing them isn't going to necessarily be all that reliable. But I guess Rob can kind of help that out here by looking at the top 6 cards of Jared's deck and top decking and or underdecking those. He's got 15 cards in hand right now, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets down to size here. Got a Reassuring Angels he can put down. Put down a Jonah as a nice counter to Um, Jared trying to catch up with his own searching. Puts Ephesian Widow back down for Life in the Sun. See his last 2 cards. And puts him back up to 16. Gets a Hunter out of there. So Jared is now, or Rob is now decked out. He's got 11 cards in his discard pile. And 3 cards in his Line of Redemption, so it's definitely a combo that shouldn't be allowed to exist in I mean, this is just like a normal, I mean, fair deck that Rob's got going on here, with the exception of the combo here that doesn't seem to be very healthy for the game, and just kind of an infinite recursion, drawing, that kind of stuff. Isn't great, but it's games like this that we got to see that kind of prove that, I guess, that there's not a whole lot that Jared could do or could have done in this situation. So I think if he had held on to Authority of Christ, or if he had not drawn it in his opening hand, but instead he kind of had got it a little bit later, that would have been pretty good shape, taking out the evil characters that Rob has there. So Rob discards Spirit as a Dove, which is interesting because that can take cards from reserve. He also discards Delivered, which is more understandable if he doesn't have an Egyptian to grab something from reserve with. He discards Scattered Sheep to get down to hand size, and he plays Lord's Prayer to just shuffle it back into his deck, and he gets him down to 8 cards. I didn't actually look at what he did with False Prophecy. So you put all 6 cards on bottom of Jared's deck, which probably means there wasn't a Lost Soul in there. And now Jared draws his 3. Looks like there aren't any Lost Souls in there either. So yeah, this is the Sheol is definitely going to be kind of saving Jared a little bit here. Maybe saving him some time, even. I guess, let's see. One of these guys plays a Lost Soul from a deck. Yeah, maybe it's. I think it's Bartimaeus who might be in reserve. If Rob is playing him. Looks like Jared plays Son of God. Just wants to get another Lost Soul on the board here. Maybe he needs to take out Distressed, or even Blind to take care of that before the rest of his NT Lost Souls come out. I might want to take out Humble. Yeah, I can see where this kind of being a toss-up a little bit. He does go with Blind. Let's see, I want to say that his Lawless and Imitate, and what was the last Lost Soul that he's got in there? Maybe Open Hand? The last ones in there, and having those available will probably be helpful. Jared drops a Shipwreck, probably, I want to imagine he's going to hit Babel. Oh, he does go with Sheol. Okay, that's, I guess, like I said before, he's probably not too worried about Babel. It looks like he's a pretty low brigade deck, as Disciples generally are. Obviously, Rob's got a little something different going on here with his Disciples kind of being a little more combo-y. But in general, Disciples are pretty much just clay purple, as we saw with the whole Lying Prophet block. And it looks like his defense isn't really worried about being negated by Babel, because Emperors are usually pretty big. They have a lot of CBP, lots of CBN. So let's see, what are we doing on time here? So we just got to the second round, and we're about a half hour through the game. So that also is something that probably doesn't bode well or look good for the Widow combo. So Jared puts down Thomas the Twin, who's currently prevented by Distressed. But he puts him down as non-meek. So he might be trying to do some banding here. If he's attacking, he can band to Jared's Matthew, which is probably going to be a decent play as far as if he wants to try to catch up and get some defense to either put up a fight, or if he wants to kind of play it slow and hope that Rob doesn't have ways to generate lost souls very easily here. So I can definitely see Jared playing it either way. Rob, I guess really like looking at Rob's hand will pretty much give Jared all the information he needs, or kind of like everything available to him. He's got Lord's Prayer and Wages in his deck, and then seeing what all is in his hand. The only thing that he wouldn't know is what's in his reserve, which would get revealed if he searched for anything from there. So he would kind of at least know a little bit what to expect. The only things that he wouldn't necessarily know are the two artifacts that Rob has face down here. One of them might be the cross, might be could be a golden calf or New Covenant in there. New Covenant is probably a good one to assume there. But yeah, I think there's definitely a few more things that Jared would benefit for seeing Rob's hand than just the drawing off of Matthew. So he puts down a Patmos, which is negated by Akeem, which looks like he might be not realizing here, or he and Rob might both not be realizing it here. Does give Rob a Jonah trigger, so he's going to get to search for something. I think taking out Sheol was actually pretty smart on Jared's side, because then Rob can't put Harvest back into Jared's deck. I think that's the only lost soul that's Jared's at this point. But that would be it would just add another lost soul that Jared could draw. So Rob plays No Regard for the Lord off of his False Leaders from reserve. Because Jared had 6 cards in hand, then he was able to decrease Thomas 6/6, which is pretty good. I think that's a very solid play. It could be Sorrow of Mary. Could have been Sorrow of Mary. Just underdeck that Matthew, not have to worry about it. But No Regard for the Lord is definitely a good option there. And it looks like Emperor Claudius got shuffled with Jonah. But again, Akeem should have been negating Patmos. So I think that honestly, if they had realized that probably would have been better for Jared, because losing both his Thomas and his Emperor Claudius was a net loss for him there in card wise. And Emperor Claudius was probably going to be one of his best blockers, answers to what Rob's got going on here. I'm sure he's got some negates or interrupts kind of sitting in reserve, or ways to answer it. Or there's always Noah, who's Old Testament, but still, I mean, most of Rob's battle winners and stuff I think are going to be geared toward the disciples. So losing Claudius kind of hurts a bit there. So it looks like Jared is going for the Matthew attack, which I think is probably the smart thing to do at this point. Depending on what he has attack-wise. Maybe if he doesn't need the cards in order to get a Lost Soul this turn, then not drawing would have been safer. But if he wasn't really didn't really have a safe or reliable rescue option, especially now that Rob's got reserve access with Supercilious Scribes and Profane Daughters, and of course Nero, who's just kind of a big protected body to get through. And oh boy. Okay, so Jared just drew 11 cards off of Rob, which means he has at least 11 good and evil brigades in his hand, but that puts Jared up to hand limits, so it very well could have been more than 11. I'm gonna guess maybe his sacrifice was sitting in there, maybe a lurking on defense. I think that those are both cards that are gonna up your brigades quite a bit, and like I was mentioning earlier before the game started, they might see a little more or less, I guess a little less popularity, or might not see them quite as much. So Jared drew those 11 cards, and it doesn't look like he drew a Lost Soul, which, I mean, it's not entirely surprising. There are still 23 cards left in his deck, but his top 6, well, okay, his deck got shuffled with Patmos, so the False Prophecy 6 might not be the same. So it looks like Supercilious Scribes is coming out to block, and Unsuccessful is coming from reserve. Maus Road is going to his reserve. Maus Road, we see at least 3 brigades there. So we'll see if Jared drew into like an Angel of the Lord or a Woes. Otherwise, yep, there's the Woes. Going to negate the Scribes and see if Rob ends up with anything here. He might still have like a Wages or something to play to discard Matthew, but otherwise it's going to be pretty unlikely, I think, that Rob has anything besides that. Ooh, you're dry. Oh, okay. Rob does have a main deck Balaam's Disobedience that he was able to drop here. We'll see if Jared has that, what is it, Love One Another? I think that's regardless of protect abilities. Or Angel of the Lord, that's still an option for him here. He's not only is Supercilious Scribes protected from the next good card, but he's protected with Balaam's, but he's also protected from the next good card by his own ability. So looks like the battle is going to end in the stalemate there. The Balaam's is going to do it, which is unfortunate for Jared because while he did make him use another battle winner, the Unsuccessful went to his reserve and is still available with Supercilious Scribes and Profane Daughters to go to, and he can't woes them both. So looks like Jared's got a Ends of the Earth and a Fishing Boat coming down here. 2 great cards for Disciples because most of them are missionaries now, so they trigger the second part of Ends of the Earth's ability, which is really, I mean, like, people would still use it even if it didn't have that part of the ability, but negating an evil or neutral card not in battle can be very helpful, especially against like a Sheol or I guess sort of Babel. It could be good against undesirables. That's a pretty important one. And if you're wondering, like I mentioned, Sheol, not in battle does include set aside area, as long as they didn't change that in any of the recent REG updates, but it definitely used to, and I'm pretty sure it still does include set aside area. So Fishing Boat, nice add to battle there, and Treacherous Land. Yeah, not sure if that's going to be too helpful here. I guess maybe if he goes out with Noah, that'll trigger. But if he goes out with Noah, he's probably going to shuffle it, and if he realizes that his Akeem is negating neutral cards, then he might not be too worried about it. looks like Jared is going to be discarding Reverence and Awe here. Oh no, he's going to be just playing it without searching, but he's still going to banish Rob's discard pile. Don't think there was anything too important in Rob's discard pile there. Yeah, it doesn't look like there was anything that I think Rob would have been looking to recur. It does give us a good count of how many dominance Rob has played so far, which looks to be 4. Son of God, Second Coming, Falling Away, and Crowd's Choice. So that means that in the 9 cards that Rob has left in his hand, one of them is Emmaus Road, 3 of them are Dominance, one of them is Lord's Prayer, one of them is Clinging to Power. That puts us at, what, 6 cards so far? That would be 6. Let's see, Jared also put down Messenger and Roman Spearman. So I think this might have been a mistake on Jared's part too here. A way that he, I mean, I guess not necessarily a mistake, but just something he could have, played a little bit better is, in my opinion at least, putting down only one of these evil characters so that he still had Unity for Shield. Because if Rob does have a way to generate a lost soul, it's probably going to be via searching. So if he has a Bartholomew or something in reserve, then Bartholomew will be searching for a lost soul to from Jared's deck, and so you'd just be able to underdeck it with Shield. So Rob played New Covenant to take Authority of Christ from his reserve. AOC doesn't do a whole lot against Roman Spearmen, so he's going to have to figure something out there. I guess he still has Life in the Sun in his hand, so he could bounce his Simon, who could ban to Messenger, and then, even though Messenger still bans to Roman Spearmen would not be the only evil character in battle. Unless Jared just goes like super big brain play and plays Angel of the Lord on his own Messenger of Satan. Actually, no, that wouldn't work, because the trigger on Roman Spearman happens at the beginning of the battle, or as soon as Roman Spearman enters the battle, because he says if you control only Roman Spearman in battle, instead of while. I believe that's the way that would work. Let's see, so either Rob didn't have anything to attack with, or he did that could generate a lost soul, or he did think that he was restricted from attacking or had to skip his next battle phase because of undesirables, even though it was negated with Simon. Unless I'm missing something. But he did pass the turn. Discarded Lurking from his hand, so that was the 7. That was 7 brigades. That was the big draw from Matthew. Honestly, at this point, it might have been better to keep it, but I guess I don't know if he had to get his hand down. Maybe it's okay, but yeah, because I guess Jared's got 19 cards left in his deck. I forgot he was looking at his top 6 with the Lawless that he drew, and so I only saw that there were 13 cards left in his deck, and I was like, yeah, it's not that many for Matthew. Like, does it really matter? But yeah, I guess that is a pretty decent amount. Although, I don't know if he, Rob wants him to draw Lost Souls. If he has a lot of cards in his hand, he's going to have to put down more characters, and Rob's AOC is going to be a little more effective. I wonder if Jared has any way to recur his AOC. There aren't a whole lot of those, but like Coming Prince can top deck it from your discard pile. That'd be kind of a fun deck to play. Just see how many times I can recur my Authority of Christ, and then just bounce Simon up and down to choose evil characters to block. Herod's Temple is going to make Authority of Christ slightly less useful, depending on how many Gospel Humans Jared has in his defense, which probably isn't going to be a lot. Most of the Roman characters that are worth their salt are not gospel at the moment. And same with the demons at this point, really. So yeah, probably not. Or Herod's Temple probably won't be doing a whole lot as far as protecting Jared's defense, but can still toss an Authority of Christ, so he's got to watch out for that. All right, Matthew is going into the boat. He's going fishing. Lawless is going into the Patmos. Interesting that he wouldn't put it into Treacherous Land, since Rob has no white heroes, but he does have a lot of purple and some silver. I mean, I guess like Rob's mostly going to be, or he is going to want to be attacking with a meek hero. Rob also has Patmos that can give him access, I suppose, so that doesn't really matter either way. But we shall see if that makes any difference here. How did Blind come back out? I thought Jared rescued that with Son of God. Maybe it's... Did he rescue something else? That's weird. Yeah, it says that you put Blind from the... Oh, I see. Okay, so he originally thought he was going to rescue Blind. He ended up rescuing Humble instead. Okay. Put Blind back. Apparently I'm blind. I didn't notice that the entire time, so... Okay, so now he's attacking with Bartholomew. He revealed Harvest Time from his hand to make good gospel enhancements cannot be negated. And he converts him to Meek, maybe, to play a open hand. When did that come out? I keep talking and getting distracted, and then I'm not realizing when these cards are coming out. I don't even see in the log where and when Open Hand came out. Maybe it was off of Lawless. Just didn't get logged for whatever reason. They should probably save the game. I don't know if I can do that. No. Oh, yeah, looks like something. Okay, that looks like he so they reserved something off of Herod's Temple to toss enhancements. Maybe should have been something that he did after the block here. So it looks like, because Herod's Temple should be active. Oh, Three Woes is on the table. That was played. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, Three Woes is negating Herod's Temple. There we go. That was like just now, I guess. So Jared's got a good Woes. Rob's got an evil Woes. Might get to see a Woes be discarded by his sacrifice. Who knows? So looks like Supercilious is coming back out. Lord's Prayer goes to reserve, maybe. Oh, Supercilious is still negated by Jared's 3 woes maybe, and he didn't realize that, so I guess he does have a main deck scattered that he can play, though. We'll see if Jared has an answer for that. He does have Matthew that he can add with Fishing Boat, so probably not too worried about that, but he also has Walking on Water to negate an evil card and take a good card from reserve, or add it to battle if you reveal a good dominant from hand. Could be... that could be decent if he's got something that would hit more characters and territory. Like maybe what's a Great Commission, yeah, or Love One Another, but or no, those might only hit characters in battle. So, wouldn't help him out quite much. And one of them is only Meek Clay cards, so it would only count Matthew. This is a tight one here. I mean, Jared might still be able to pull this off. Where did Lawless go? I don't know what happened to Lawless. How did it turn into Awake? Must have missed something there. But anyways, looks like Jared got to 3 here, and he hasn't played Second Coming yet, so he's at effectively 4. Puts him a turn ahead of Rob now, so that's he's still got 18 cards left in deck, so he may not have everything, or he may not have Second Coming yet, but he's definitely in a pretty good position because Rob has to get 2 straight up rescues now. Still has Authority of Christ in his hand, which is maybe gonna get him 1, but that might be about it. So it looks like it is now, well, I'm sure he's got some other stuff in reserve, but he's still got to be able to block, I guess, against Jared next turn. This turn. Next turn. Yeah, this turn is Rob's turn. So, he drew his card. Let's see if he changes his woes target. Guess another thing looks like Rob missed that Ends of the Earth would be negated by Akeem. He also missed the search. Actually, not Walking on Water. Looks like Jared passed on the search, so that was smart. And didn't trigger his Jonah. Then Rob's going out with Noah. Converts him to Meek to prevent cards. I don't know if he's like trying to bait out the messenger block, but oh, okay. That's good. Well, okay, but can't shuffle Roman Spearman with Noah because Roman Spearman is human. I think they missed that. He would have had to shuffle Messenger instead, which actually would have been a better option, I think, because now Jared's going to be able to block and draw 9 cards from the bottom of his deck. It looks like he loses a Wages, a Chronicles, Scattered Sheep, Clinging to Power, and Unsuccessful. So a few battle winners there, a few tutors, a dominant. Yeah, it's a tough blow to come back from, but I mean, being able to block with Messenger or draw 9 and ban to Nero seems pretty good. So yeah, I think maybe Rob meant to shuffle Messenger and the message got lost. Um, Looks like they might be fixing it now, because I think Jared's taking a card from his deck to his hand, it looks like. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, he was drawing one off the bottom with Treacherous Land, which happened to be the Deceiver, by the looks of it. Pretty unfortunate for Rob there. Even though Treacherous Land should be negated by Akeem, and I gotta get on Rob for not knowing his cards. Come on, man. You claim to try out, post Exilics a little bit. You gotta remember Akeem. It is a little bit tough to keep track of if you're not used to playing that way. And oh yeah, Impartial Judgment should be prevented by Noah. And Joe just pointed that out. Yeah, Noah prevents all cards, so if you convert him to Meek, which Rob did, then Impartial Judgment should be prevented. Even if it's played by a dominant, that doesn't matter. Doesn't prevent the dominant, but he does prevent Impartial Judgment. There's nothing on this that makes it CBN. So yeah, Rob probably should have played that as Meek, or played Noah as Meek to begin with, because I think that this is kind of something that he intends to do. Once he draws out his deck and kind of gets things set up, then drop the Impartial Judgment and kind of clean up from there, get the rescues from there. So it looks like Jared's going with the Deceiver to go to his deck for Nero, which makes a lot of sense. Protected from Noah. And it cannot be prevented. I'm going to guess that there's not a whole lot that Rob will have that can deal with that, because probably doesn't have a lot of CBP negates. And this also means that be protected from like an Angel of the Lord or something, because let's see, we saw Son of God, Second Coming, Falling Away, Crowd's Choice, Three Woes, Ride On Victoriously. So I think Rob's got one more dominant sitting in his hand. Looks like he played False Peace from his reserve to take Unsuccessful from his reserve. That was off of the False Leaders trigger with the Deceiver. Which that would not be negated by Noah, because Noah only prevents cards that were not already active, so False Leaders would not be negated. If he said negate cards, then False Leaders would not work there. So you can see that even the guys at the top table, who mostly know what they're doing, still miss some triggers and some stuff here and there. Of course I do too, and so it's definitely not out of the ordinary. But here I think Jared is probably winning the battle, but still wanted to use gates to add Messenger to battle to get that draw 9. And then he can probably ban to somebody, and that'll be beating Noah outright. So that Noah would be discarded. So if he has somebody that he can ban to that can negate Impartial Judgment, CBP, not that he should have to because it was prevented, but that would certainly put Jared in the driver's seat. And no, not that even though I guess at this point he might be. Anyway. So let's see, 10, 12, 14 attack, so that doesn't quite put enough to be beating Noah outright. He's still got 15 toughness, so he needs one more attack. Maybe should have banned for Profane Daughters if that was the the case that he was going for. I guess it was 13 there. I guess he still would have been short on strength though, so Messenger and False Leaders would still have died by the numbers, I believe. Nero would survive, and Rob would not get the Lost Soul. I believe that's how that would work out. So Rob's still playing stuff, and he played the Lord's Prayer, and search for Great Commission from his reserve, but that should be prevented as well. So I think that he's just kind of not thinking that Noah's preventing cards right now. It would be really nice if Noah just said prevent opponent's cards. So that's a tip for all the card designers down the road. Reprint Noah, but just say prevent opponent's cards. That perfectly balanced and be a much better card. So he's not playing Great Commission right away, which means you might think that it's being prevented. He's asking, does Demon Hunter retain initiative against Nero? So he's currently 14. So currently it's stalemate because Nero is still surviving, even though Rob's numbers are bigger on both sides. So I don't think I'm missing anything here, but Noah should be preventing Gam's speech as well. I mean, if he converted him to Meek, and we can see that he was originally not Meek by the fact that he shuffled a card. Unless the shuffling the card was in response to some search ability that Jared did. I don't know. Doesn't look like it. So he played Gam's speech and used it to discard Impartial Judgment, or to negate and discard Impartial Judgment, which gives him all of the stuff back that he lost. So I guess we kind of came full circle, and Impartial Judgment didn't end up working anyway. So there we go. Or they're thinking now that Gam's speech is prevented by Noah and not... Oh, man. It's really hard not to say anything. So, Gam's speech they're playing as if it was prevented by Noah, but not Great Commission. Well, I mean, telling him at this point would just it would make a lot of things just kind of messy, having to backtrack everything. And I mean, I guess everything else could just have been the same. I mean, you shouldn't have the card from Treacherous Land, shouldn't have been able to shuffle Roman Spearman. Just remember folks, read your cards. I know it's a lot to keep track of, especially for Rob, playing his entire deck on his first turn. It's going to be tough for him to keep track of if he's not. Um, the deck is still relatively fresh, and obviously for the opponent to keep track of. It's not a deck that they are built or are used to seeing necessarily. So keeping track of all the different cards out there is definitely difficult. Kind of one of the things that makes the learning curve on Redemption a little bit more difficult at just kind of like going from base level play to high level play. Like, I mean, I think there's kind of a little bit of a curve early on, then you kind of like plateau, and then it kind of gradually goes up, but then it's kind of like steep to get to like the kind of like top level competitive play, I guess. So Jared just put a card from the bottom of his deck into his hand. So he drew out Treacherous Land again. It's negated. That's okay. I think it's helpful to, hopefully helpful for people watching games like this as well, to know what kind of cards are out there and kind of what to expect as you're kind of playing the game, kind of what cards are going to be doing what at what time. It looks like they ended up in a stalemate there, but because Rob was still winning by the numbers, actually Messenger and False Leaders should be discarded. But I don't think that if I was going to point something like that out, that's where like, I'm not going to start there, I guess, if I do intervene here. So I think that maybe something that's something that I could ask people about before the game is like, if I see, like, I'll do my best to be unbiased. I mean, I'm really not biased at all in this game. Like, both of these guys are good, and I think they both deserve to win. I talked to Rob a little bit about his deck, so maybe I'm a little bit biased there. Be like, it would look better for the guy that I've been helping out more. But hey, that's it was mostly not me, so he can take the blame if he loses here. But I think that talking during the game, or like talking to them beforehand and being like, hey, during the game, if I see you misplaying a card or doing something that you shouldn't be able to do you want me to say something about it? I think that's a reasonable thing to do. I don't know. So anyways, it is now Jared's turn. He is rearranging his territory a little bit here, drawing some cards, and it looks like Jared is setting up his defense a little bit here. Gonna trying to get his hand back down to regular size. He's got 14 cards in hand right now. And let's see what he can set up for a rescue here. We haven't seen a whole lot of his offense yet. I mean, we saw his AOC early on. We saw walking on water last turn. That's what it was. So I have a feeling that Jared should be able to get through here, but he does have an unsuccessful to deal with, and False Leaders is going to get initiative pretty easily. So he also has an hero to get around, so he has to be able to negate or interrupt something. I don't know what his woes target was, if anything. There's no more Supercilious Scribe, so it would not stay on there. He puts down a Philip of Bethsaida, who is not meek, so he can take a Disciple from his deck. He's got 6 cards left in deck, so probably won't be doing that, but he can reveal a Godometer from hand to ban to a Martyr, so he could borrow some of Rob's offense there. He's got big numbers. Herod's Temple is still negated, though, so that's not going to do him a whole lot of good. He really has, kind of 2 turns to figure all this out. I don't know that Rob is playing Confusion and all of that. So at least 2 turns, I guess. He's still got pretty good blocking options, and I'm not sure how much Rob has left in terms of getting through here. But looks like, so yep, puts down Bartholomew is not meek. Plays Sent 2x2, places that in territory. So another add to battle part or card. That was the other one that I was thinking about in my Disciple deck. I think I maybe had that in there. So it's like that, Fishing Boat, and Good Seed. Matthew's Begats could be pretty good in there too. We don't have any meek red heroes usually, so nobody to activate it on there. They're meek clay. But still a pretty good, once every turn add to battle. I guess maybe not necessarily better than Fishing Boat. Fishing Boat doesn't take up an artifact slot, so that's definitely a plus side. But Fishing Boat also leaves them more vulnerable. You can shipwreck the Fishing Boat, and then that takes out all the Disciples in it, so a little bit risky there. "17 minutes left in the game here. And it looks like Judas is coming out. And see if he draws 2. He might. I don't know if Rob's got a Foreign Wives hiding somewhere, but I think he might be safe to draw here. He only has 4 brigades out: purple clay, gray, orange. So Babel is not going to be negating Judas. Emperor Nero comes out, means that Rob is probably running a little low on stuff. He's still got unsuccessful, but Judas is a 1/6, so he gets initiative against False Leaders. So you can see that's probably why Jared decided to attack with him, and he opted not to draw. So just kind of playing around the whole the possibility of Foreign Wives sitting in Rob's reserve as if he's playing Deceiver, or another way to get to her. So Nero comes down, comes out, and see what Jared's got. Ooh, that's fun. He's got a Transfiguration, ban to Moses and Elijah from reserve deck and or territory. So I'm sure he's got at least Moses in his reserve and then one of the Elijahs. I'm gonna guess it's Elijah and Glory. I think that makes the most sense. And yep, looks like it was a Legacy Rare Moses and Elijah and Glory. There you go. So Moses negates Nero. It's also not alone anymore, so he could use Dominance. He could you know, he's not protected either way. And Elijah can be banished to protect good cards from evil cards. So, yeah, I think if Rob does have one dominant left here, which I think by my count is the case, then that wouldn't really help him here. Let's see, it's 3, 3, 11, 11. So yeah, 12, 17. That Jared is at here. Unsuccessful. We'll get him up to 6. We'll get him up 6 to 13. So that won't be quite enough numbers for him. If he still had scattered, that would be a pretty good play here. Oh, I guess no, they'd be protected. Balaam's Disobedience would have been the good play, I guess. But looks like he already used that one up, so let's see if Rob's got anything else, or if this is gonna be it here, because Jared should have second coming, I would think. But hey, what's up, John? Welcome to the what's probably the end of the game, maybe. We're thinking that Jared probably has second coming. Don't think he probably was aware that Rob didn't have a reverence and awe to banish it or anything else like that. So, or banish Son of God from his discard pile. So, yeah, I think Rob's trying to figure out if there's anything else he can do here. Can play unsuccessful for the numbers, but that's not quite going to get him there. Doesn't have a Humble Lost Soul to make it CVP, because Jared wisely rescued that earlier instead of blind. And looks like he maybe thought that it would work, and now realizes that it doesn't, and Jared let him pick it back up. Don't think Rob has like a Scattered Sheep or anything that would work. Jared moves Sent 2x2 to his discard to add some Disciples to battle, but Sent 2x2 would be negated by Moses. It's alright. Also, Philip would be negated by Moses. Unless, yeah, the Babel count isn't high enough, so can't think of any reason that Moses would not be active right now, but he also can't ban to Matthew because he's got his own Matthew in his fishing boat. And Matthew would also be prevented. Alright, what turned off Moses here? What am I not seeing? It's not Babel. Unless... So Elijah and Glory comes in. That's clay, silver, white, plus purple, plus gold, plus gray, plus orange. It's still only 7. So even if they... I mean, I guess Babel would see all the brigades at the same time. Maybe they were thinking that Ends of the Earth would count? It's not evil. It's not these are neutral brigades on the sites. I don't know, folks. Could not tell you. So I guess we're sitting through another round of this. Reassuring Angel comes down. Jared's trying to get down to 8 cards. He's got 12 in hand right now. He drew the rest of his deck with Matthew, I guess, which was 5 cards, which means Rob's got at least 5 brigades in his hand. Jared plays Crowd's Choice, grabs something from his reserve, which is Romans destroyed Jerusalem. That is interesting. That would make things interesting. Take out Herod's Temple, Fishing Boat, Babel. In most of both of their offenses, we'd get to see Akeem, Jonah, Noah, and Moses stick around and duke it out. Looks like Second Coming's coming down, or maybe not. Oh, I see. Rob is triggering his Jonah first to shuffle Emperor Nero. That's pretty smart. Of course, unless they realize that Akeem is negating Treacherous Land, then he's probably going to trigger that and draw into it. I don't know. Or you can just draw into it with Messenger. So Terrifying Beast and Deceiver both come down. I mean, Rob still has Authority of Christ, I'm pretty sure. So if he has a way to stop Jared from getting to Nero, doesn't seem likely, but it's possible. And Red Dragon. Okay, that's going to make it pretty tough for him to pull off an Authority of Christ unless he can negate an evil card with something. Puts Mercenary Chariots on Terrifying Beast. That's pretty good. He does Second Coming to search for Son of God. Triggers Jonah again, at least. So I guess he's got Deceiver that can exchange to Nero too. So yeah, it doesn't really matter here, I don't think. Alright, so yeah, Rob wisely shuffles Deceiver. At least trying to limit the options here. If he does have any gate, then he can, if Jared blocks with Messenger, draws into Nero and bans to him, then he could negate Messenger at least. So Son of God goes down. Jared rescues Blind, puts him at 4 lost souls, and Jared goes to his turn. Looks like Rob has his hand revealed to Jared still from the Matthew thing, but it shouldn't really matter at this point. You should know what all cards he has. I guess I could, that part I can let them know, that Rob's hand is still revealed. That's not like a gameplay thing. Let's see. What other options does Rob have? So he's got Lord's Prayer. He's got Emmaus Road, I think, is one of the other cards in his hand. Authority of Christ. That's 3. Unsuccessful might still be in there. That's 4. Or no, he played unsuccessful through Moses somehow. This is going to be tough. I mean, I think I would have been better off trying to like wait until now to use his AOC and his awesome things with AOC. Just like Jared puts down all his evil characters to get down to hand size. Maybe he kept one or two in his hand still, but okay. So yeah, there's the Book of the Law. There's the bounce card that we were kind of expecting, I think. So yep, Simon comes down now. He's gonna be able to get him with that AOC somehow. That's gonna be tough. Who's gonna choose to block? I mean, I guess Terrifying Beast. Yeah. Yep. Terrifying Beast comes on out, and he can. The thing is, he can ban to Rob's Nero. He can ban to Roman Spearman. It wouldn't really do anything, but first he gets to discard a character. So I anticipate if he tries to discard Simon, then Rob will probably just underdeck something else. So I think he would probably just want to. Well, it probably doesn't really matter. Rob's just going to underdeck anything regardless. Maybe he could try doing Akeem, because I guess that would force Rob to underdeck Noah, but he's got matching brigade options just in his territory. Every hero is covered by Noah, and then Noah covers every other hero. So he probably chose to try to discard Simon, and then Rob is underdecking Matthew instead, which doesn't really hurt him. He's decked out. And now he gets to ban to a Roman. Which should be Nero, or Emperor Claudius from his own hand. That works pretty much just as well. Yeah, it's pretty interesting that with all the evil characters that that Jared had, none of them would have been good options to choose with Simon. As he would have been able to get a protected character in regardless, or a Roman Spearman to toss the enhancements. Because I think it was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Spearman would have been prevented by Babel. Ooh. So yep, that's a little bit of a miscalculation on Rob's part. That Spearman would have been prevented by Babel, so he would have been able to drop AOC, and I mean, I guess Jared could have used Shield before AOC went off to add his a protected character, but if he played AOC first, then Jared wouldn't have Unity for Shield. So I guess Jared still had an out regardless. But looks like, so it's Simon versus Claudius. Plays Lord's Prayer, shuffles it into his deck. Looks for something in his reserve. Maybe he's got something there, but Jared still has Chronicles that he hasn't played, so that still would probably be able to take care of whatever Rob's going for in reserve here. He also could have triggered his Book of the Law. Would there have been anything for him to take from hand? I guess Matthew he could have taken. So Walking on Water, that's a good one. Doesn't really help him here with his clay hero in battle. But could help him next turn to get around Nero with someone else. And he triggers, Jared triggers Sheol. Underdecks Imitate, which technically leaves Rob without access, but he does have Patmos that he could add to battle to give him access. But doesn't look like he's going to be getting through on this turn anyway, so let's shouldn't make much of a difference. It's interesting because, like, it's. I guess I was talking before the game how I kind of feel like these two are kind of on the same, uh, level. Like they have a pretty good grasp on the game, and they, are maybe above average player wise, or like games that they win. But we can see kind of throughout this game how it's been like, oh man, it's really heavy in Rob's favor. Oh, it's really heavy in Jared's favor. Like, oh, it's kind of going back and forth, and the fact that the game is going to this point, and it looks like they've timed out at this point. And Jared went first, so I don't know if this is the last round or not, or kind of where they're at with that. But this game is certainly very close, and could have gone either way at multiple points, I think. And it kind of shows how really close they are in level, both in deck building and execution, I think. So it looks like they are going to do at least one more round, assuming they're keeping track of time. I think this should be the last round, potentially, but I don't know what else Rob has at his disposal for blocking here. He's got a Nero. He's got a false leaders that can go to discard for no regard for the Lord if Jared does any searching. But Jared does still have some banding options with his Philip to get around Nero. So Jared takes back or discards his terrifying beast from hand or something. Oh, maybe he put it in the wrong zone or something. Maybe he put it back into his deck instead of putting it into his discard, because it was in battle, so he didn't grab it with all of his other evil characters. So, that was probably just a misclick on his part. So Terrifying Beast should be in discard. He plays Lord's Prayer to grab Love One Another from reserve. So that's a way to get around Nero, as long as he plays it on a meek hero. But Rob should still use Jonah here to shuffle Philip. I guess it wouldn't really matter because he's got Reassuring Angels to go grab Philip. But so it looks like, okay, so it looks like Judas is the one who's getting shuffled. So maybe Rob does have something else that, with initiative, can potentially win him the battle. Very interesting. Maybe he's just trying to bait Jared into going with Reassuring Angels to Judas. And then he's got a better block for Judas. He's got Nero. Block a lone hero. Maybe he's got a negate or something that he can use. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what Jared does here. He plays Saint Simon, so he plays him as meek. Doesn't want to choose anyone to block. And so Philip comes out. I assume he's going to reveal Harvest Time to block. I guess he can convert him to Meek to, or to, not block, to band. I guess he could convert him to Meek to grab Judas from deck, but that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So, yeah, he's going to go ahead and band probably 2 Simon, so that he has a Meek hero that he can play that 1 card off of. Love one another. And he also wants to have a... Or no, he already played Walking on Water. It's Rob that has it in his hand. Yep, so there comes Simon. So that puts Jared at 10-15 altogether. He's got an 8-12 and a 2-3. He's got Fishing Boat with Matthew loaded and ready to go. He's got one another ready to go. Which means that he can hit 2 heroes. Is Love One Another the Meek one? Yeah, Love One Another is the Meek clay card, so he's got 2 of those with Simon and Matthew. Nero comes out. So if he has a way to remove Simon from the battle, that would kind of be his best bet, I guess, because, yeah, so he can play this to reserve Simon, and then Jared doesn't get special initiative because Philip is still in battle, and then Nero would be protected from Philip, and Love One Another would not be regardless of protect abilities, but it looks like Philip is the one who's getting reserved. Maybe Rob forgot about the regardless of protect if he's my Meek hero. He's got Great Commission anyway to interrupt the battle. It only interrupts if he's my Meek hero though. So, ooh, that, I mean, either way, oh no, Fishing Boat is only your last hero from battle. So Rob might have had that if he... Oh, there comes the last dominant. There's number 7. Okay, that's what Rob's been holding on to all this time. So there goes Book of the Law, and there goes the Great Commission, Chronicles of the Kings, coming out to potentially get the job done here. Clinging to Power is going to put Philip back in reserve. So, okay, I see what Rob is doing now. I take back everything I said. Rob, you're an okay guy. You're a good... you made the right play there, because now Simon is definitely going to be losing by the numbers to Nero. And Chronicles is going to, I think, get it done here, I want to say. I can't think of a whole lot else that's CBP or CBN that Jared could have. I think if he still had a sent 2x2 out, just saying, because Moses should have been negating it, and I think he would have won that battle without it. I don't know. I've got questions, but it's all good. It's all good. So at this point, that should have been Jared's last turn, and I think Rob, I guess, has one more turn to try to tie it up. And if he does, that would be... I mean, I guess I would say I'd be impressed. I mean, Jared's got 5 cards left in hand, 2 in his deck. The 2 in his deck are... I'm sure we know what they are, I just probably forgot. Jared just moved Nero from his discard to his hand. Maybe he put Nero in the wrong spot too when he got underdecked or shuffled or whatever by Jonah. Could be. Doesn't mean kind of Rob's. I have a hard time believing he's got any battle winners left on offense. Maybe something in reserve. He's still got 4 cards in there. I think one of them is something he exchanged there with Supercilious Scribes at some point, probably. But Noah's coming out because he's makes it so that Claudius isn't a block at least. But Nero is still an option here, I guess. So Rob has to figure out something to get around that. If he has some way to band or to interrupt or negate Nero's ability, then yeah, he'd be in good shape. But right now, it's not looking too good. Honestly, I don't even know if they would finish this game as far as... Oh, that's right, he has Walking on Water. I guess if he didn't have Walking on Water, which... so it looks like Jared is... or Rob is maybe not taking a good card from reserve. Either way, Jared's got Stricken to negate Walking on Water, which doesn't discard it, but doesn't really matter. I guess the numbers kind of cancel out. That's kind of funny. It's a 1-5 and a 5-1. Okay, looks like they figured that out. But yeah, I mean, from this point, I don't think either of them get to 5 unless... Oh, no. Okay, Jared still got Love One Another because he didn't use it on the last battle, so he would be able to get through Nero. But otherwise, like, unless Jared had a way to get Philip from his reserve, then yeah, I think Nero would just keep on blocking on both sides. So right now it's stalemate, and now I have a hard time believing Rob's got anything else left. Walking on Water. No, it would have been kind of fun if they kind of did a throwback to the old school Walking on Water, which was just like interrupt the battle and protect your anti-human heroes from to all evil brigades. So they're immune, not protected from all evil brigades. So just kind of a weird way to word it, but it was actually, it was okay in its time. It was pretty good on Saul Paul, who could play any brigade when he was converted, and so that would make him like have another CBN interrupt, and he had pretty big numbers, so being immune to all evil brigades, that was going to be pretty solid at that point. But yep, looks like that was the last turn there, so Jared wins 4-3. That was quite the game. My butt's a little sore. But I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Even though there were a few things where you'd be like, oh, it's easy to see from my perspective. Just watching the game, I don't have to think about it or anything. It's like, oh, they played that wrong. They played that wrong. That's you gotta definitely give them a lot of grace. We all make those kinds of misplays or mistakes, things that we don't see, and it's really easy to see from my perspective, our perspective as the humble spectators. But I think they both played pretty well with the way that their decks operated. We saw Rob go off with the big combo and get it off on the first turn, and the he got his stuff set up, but then Jared, on the other hand, he was able to kind of answer back with his own speed stuff. He got a big Matthew draw. He got a few pretty big draws during that whole exchange with like a Messenger of Satan, and got his defense back off of impartial judgment that maybe or might or might not should have happened, but lots of back and forth in this game, and it was a little bit of a marathon, but I think they both did fairly well, getting their to it being at least a 4-3 game, pretty close there in the end of it. So anyways, that's where we're gonna wrap it up here, guys. I got other stuff I need to get to, probably eat some food, and then take on my Friday. So hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.